Do you still remember One-on-One? It once gave us the warm, funny image of a modern family filled with positive energy. But behind the screen, the cast lived through fractured lives, failed marriages, nights of depression, near-fatal accidents, and even sudden deaths on set. Today, we look at what they look like now and honor the legacy they left behind. Flex Alexander as Mark Flex Washington. Flex Alexander was born on April 15, 1970, in New York City. At 31 years old, he played Mark Flex Washington, the charming single father and former basketball star, on One-on-One from 2001 to 2006. The role wasn't just his performance, it was his creation, as he developed and produced the series that became UPN's signature success. Behind that spotlight was a marriage fighting through storms that few ever saw. Flex married singer Shanice Wilson in 2000, and their early years were filled with hope, 2 young children, and rising careers. But when Hollywood roles slowed and income collapsed, the financial strain cut deeply into their private life. Flex later admitted he had mismanaged everything, and the weight of that failure left him ashamed and emotionally hollow as Shanice tried to hold the family together. The collapse turned brutal in 2010 when Flex filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, owing more than $1.3 million. Their home was taken, their cars repossessed, and he sold nearly all of their belongings just to survive. The humiliation pushed him into a desperate chapter, working as a pastor full-time because acting jobs no longer came. The stress, the fear of not providing for his children, and the silence from the industry left him carrying a broken heaviness. Today, Flex is 55 years old and still rebuilding, performing in stage productions like New Jack City Live while balancing speaking work and small roles. His marriage survived every fracture, becoming a partnership built on endurance rather than glamour. His net worth, estimated at around $500,000, reflects a man who lost everything once and learned to live again from the ground up. Kyla Pratt as Brianna Latrice Barnes. Kyla Pratt was born on September 16, 1986, in Los Angeles, California. At just 15 years old, she played Brianna Latrice Barnes, the bright, emotional, quick-witted teen daughter at the center of One-on-One, 2001 to 2006. As the youngest member of the main cast, she became the heart of the series, blending innocence, humor, and vulnerability in a way few young actors could. Her performance quickly made her one of UPN's most beloved faces. Her personal life, unlike many child stars, unfolded with a quiet, steady rhythm. Kyla built a long-term relationship with Danny Kirkpatrick, a tattoo artist and musician, forming a partnership grounded in loyalty rather than Hollywood chaos. Motherhood reshaped her life as she welcomed 2 daughters, Lyric in 2010 and Laya in 2013, embracing a family-first lifestyle that pulled her away from the constant chase of stardom. Yet the changes were not without weight. Years after childbirth, she faced public scrutiny for noticeable weight gain. Comments like, "I didn't even recognize her," flooded social media, turning her body into a topic she never asked to debate. Despite the pressure, Kyla pushed forward, balancing acting with raising her daughters. She kept building her career through voice work as Penny Proud in The Proud Family, and later through series like Recovery Road and Call Me Kat. The emotional strain of juggling motherhood, public criticism, and industry expectations tested her, but she kept moving with quiet strength. Now, Kyla is 39 years old and active in both television and voice acting, reprising Penny Proud in The Proud Family, louder and prouder. She continues to live with Danny Kirkpatrick and their daughters, keeping her family close and her private life guarded. Her estimated net worth of around $4 million reflects decades of steady work and discipline. Kelly Perine as Dwayne Odell Knox. Kelly Perine was born on March 23, 1969, in New York City. At 32 years old, he played Dwayne Odell Knox, the fast-talking, sharp-witted used car salesman, on One from 2001 to 2004. His role became a fan favorite, remembered for its warmth, charm, and larger-than-life humor. Away from the sitcom spotlight, Kelly lived a life free from public scandals, choosing stability over chaos. His marriage endured quietly over the years, supported by a partner who stayed beside him as he navigated the unpredictable industry. Their children eventually grew into adulthood, while Kelly kept working steadily, even when fame no longer followed him. That quiet, consistent family life became his anchor, giving him a sense of peace rare in Hollywood. As the years passed, the demands of work and aging caught up with him. The long hours on set, the grind of auditions, and the pressure to stay relevant took a physical toll. His once boyish look faded quickly, and many fans later admitted they barely recognized him with his white hair and older face. Yet he never stopped acting, turning toward voice work and television roles, embracing whatever opportunities allowed him to keep doing what he loved. Now, Kelly is 56 years old and continues to act regularly, focusing on character roles and voice performances while developing new independent projects. He lives a quiet, steady life with his family, far from the intensity of early 2000s sitcom fame. His estimated net worth of roughly $1 million reflects a career built on discipline, humility, and persistence. Tichina Arnold, as Nicole Barnes. Tichina Arnold was born on June 28, 1969, in Queens, New York. At 32 years old, she joined on One in 2001 as Nicole Barnes, the strong-willed, emotionally grounded mother of Brianna. Her sharp comedic timing and natural warmth added depth to the series, building on the legacy she had created through Martin, and later, Everybody Hates Chris. Her real life, however, was marked by pain that she carried long before the cameras rolled. Tichina endured severe endometriosis for years, pain so intense that doctors once told her she might never have children. When she finally welcomed her daughter, Elijah Kai, through IVF in 2004, it was both a miracle and a reminder of everything her body had forced her to fight. Her first marriage to boxer Lamont Brewster ended quickly, exhausted by emotional strain and physical suffering she could no longer hide. Her second marriage to basketball coach Rico Hines was far more devastating. What began as hope collapsed in public humiliation when a sex tape of Hines with another woman surfaced and spread online. The betrayal shattered her, reopening wounds she thought she had healed. She later confessed that the combination of physical agony and emotional trauma made her feel like she could die from the pain, forcing her into a long period of private recovery while still working non-stop to keep her career alive. Now, Tichina is 56 years old, raising her daughter while continuing her successful run on The Neighborhood. She lives independently, choosing peace over romance and rebuilding her life with quiet determination. Her estimated net worth of $2 to $2.5 million reflects decades of resilience. Sicily Johnson, as Spirit Jones. Sicily Johnson was born on October 1, 1985, in Pontiac, Michigan. At 16 years old, she played Spirit Jones, the eccentric, artistic, fiercely loyal best friend of Brianna, on One from 2001 until her departure in 2005. Her performance brought a quirky charm and emotional depth that helped shape the show's early identity. However, her personal life unfolded with drastic shifts as she grew older. Sicily married young, became a mother of 2 daughters, and later remarried after her first relationship dissolved under the pressure of early adulthood and the demands of Hollywood. The birth of her children reshaped her priorities, pulling her away from acting and into a search for stability and fulfillment. At the same time, she began openly embracing her identity, eventually coming out in a 2022 interview and revealing how long she had struggled with hiding parts of herself while working in the industry. Those emotional changes led to a decisive turning point in 2010 when she walked away from acting completely and enrolled in Le Cordon Bleu. The long hours, the discipline of the kitchen, and the process of rebuilding her life gave her a sense of comfort she never found on a film set. She channeled her family's culinary legacy into something new, opening the soul food restaurant Pinky and Red's with her mother in Berkeley. The work was demanding, but it gave her control, identity, and peace. In 2025, Sicily is 40 years old and thriving as a chef and restaurateur, now operating 2 restaurants while raising her daughters in a life far removed from Hollywood. She continues expanding her culinary presence with high-profile roles in major kitchens and community food projects. Her estimated net worth of $1 to $1.5 million comes not from acting, but from the business she built with her own hands. Ron Canada as Benjamin Barnes. Ron Canada was born on May 3, 1949, in New York City. At 52 years old, he took on the role of Benjamin Barnes, the stern but loving father of Flex, on One from 2001 to 2004. His deep voice, commanding presence, and seasoned acting gave the character weight and emotional resonance. He brought a veteran dignity to the show, shaped by decades of experience across film, television, and theater. His personal life, like his career, remained remarkably steady. Ron lived with a quiet sense of discipline, keeping his relationships private and avoiding the drama that consumed many of his peers. His long-term partnership endured through the demands of a career that spanned more than 40 years. While younger actors often fell under the pressure of fame, Ron relied on routine, focus, and a private home life to keep himself balanced and emotionally grounded. Even as he aged, the work never stopped. The industry's constant pace, late-night shoots, and travel schedules brought physical fatigue, and his appearance changed dramatically over the years. White hair, deeper lines, and a more solemn expression. Still, he continued performing in the Orville Billions and recurring dramatic roles, approaching every project with the same seriousness he carried since the 1970s. The emotional toll of longevity in Hollywood was real, yet he worked through it with quiet determination. Today, Ron Canada is 76 years old and remains active, still performing in television, film, and theater with the same commanding presence that defined his career. He lives a private, peaceful life, choosing craft over fame while mentoring younger actors behind the scenes. His estimated net worth of $3 million reflects a lifetime of steady work, discipline, and an unwavering commitment to the art that shaped him. Robert Ri'chard as Arnaz Ballard. Robert Ri'chard was born on January 7, 1983, in Los Angeles, California. At 18 years old, he stepped into the role of Arnaz Ballard, the smooth-talking musician and Brianna's complicated love interest, on One, 2001 to 2006. His youthful charm and natural comedic rhythm made him a breakout star, quickly becoming one of the show's most recognizable faces. His life after the series was shaped by intense transformation. Robert remained single through much of his adulthood, focusing almost entirely on his body and career instead of settling down. Years of pressure to evolve beyond the baby-faced teen heartthrob pushed him into extreme physical training. He rebuilt himself into a sculpted, muscular figure that shocked longtime viewers. Career expectations only intensified the internal pressure. After One, Robert fought to escape typecasting, taking on roles in Coach Carter, House of Wax, Veronica Mars, and guest spots on The Vampire Diaries. He later leaned into adult-themed projects like Chocolate City and Kinky, using them to break away from his teen idol identity. In 2025, Robert is 42 years old and continues to act, appearing in films such as Bolden, Alone, and Sweetwater, while taking recurring roles in series like Harlem. He remains unmarried, pouring most of his energy into fitness and career longevity. His estimated net worth of around $600,000 reflects a life built on constant reinvention. Tamala Jones as Tanya Jacobs. Tamala Jones was born on November 12, 1974, in Pasadena, California. At 27 years old, she appeared on One in 2002 as Tanya Jacobs, Flex's former girlfriend, whose return added tension and humor to the show's evolving storylines. Her sharp presence and natural comedic timing made the character memorable despite limited screen time. Her personal journey, however, carried far more pain than her vibrant on-screen energy revealed. At just 24, Tamala survived a life-threatening brain aneurysm that required emergency surgery. The experience left her with chronic migraine issues that followed her well into adulthood, shaping both her emotional resilience and her approach to work. Relationships were difficult to maintain under such stress, and she remained single for many years, focusing instead on healing and rebuilding her sense of stability. The aftermath of her medical crisis affected her career in subtle but lasting ways. She continued acting in series like For Your Love, Castle, and Rebel, but the momentum that could have pushed her into leading lady status never fully arrived. The pain, the recovery cycles, and the pressure to stay strong made every job a test of endurance. Still, Tamala carried herself with determination, refusing to let her medical history define her future. Now, Tamala is 51 years old and remains active in television, appearing in new projects while maintaining a measured pace that prioritizes her health. She leads a private life, unmarried and without children, choosing peace after years of physical and emotional challenges. Her estimated net worth of about $3 million reflects decades of steady work. Brandy Norwood as Michelle McGinty. Brandy Norwood was born on February 11, 1979 in Macomb, Mississippi. At 26 years old, she played Michelle McGinty in One in 2005, a spirited and charismatic addition whose presence energized the show's final season. Already a household name from Moesha and Cinderella, her appearance marked one of the series' most high-profile cast shifts. Yet behind the scenes, her life was beginning to crack under a pressure no sitcom could soften. Long before joining the cast, Brandy had lived through the kind of stardom that breaks people early: global fame as a teen, a Grammy-winning career, and the constant weight of being the vocal Bible. But everything changed in December 2006. When she was involved in a devastating car accident that led to the death of another driver. Though she faced no criminal charges, the lawsuits, guilt, and public condemnation shattered her emotionally. Her relationship with Sir the Baptist collapsed under the strain, and depression followed her like a shadow, leading to years of therapy, withdrawal, and quiet suffering as she tried to continue performing in the game and on Broadway. The silent damage accumulated until 2022, when she nearly ended her life during a severe depressive episode. She returned to work with a strength few recognized, recording new music, filming projects, and raising her daughter Sirai alone. But behind every smile was a woman fighting to rebuild the parts of herself she thought were gone forever. Her career endured, yet her scars endured with it, woven subtly into her albums 7B7 and her return to Cinderella. Today, Brandy is 46 years old and still creating. She is preparing a memoir, working steadily in music and film, and supporting her daughter's own artistic career. Though her estimated net worth stands around $10 million, the true story is not money, but survival. A woman who walked through grief, scandal, heartbreak, and her own darkest thoughts. Nicole Paggi as Sarah Crawford. Nicole Paggi was born on August 15, 1983, in Travis County, Texas. At 28 years old, she appeared in One-on-One's 2005 to 2006 final season as Sarah Crawford, the warm and grounded new presence introduced during the show's format shift. Though her role was brief, she brought a quiet charm that balanced the younger cast's chaotic storylines. But her personal life was moving in a very different direction. After years of chasing roles from Pasadena to Hope and Faith, Nicole began confronting burnout and emotional exhaustion, especially as her career repeatedly placed her on the cusp of success without ever letting her fully break through. The instability, constant travel, and pressure of Hollywood began colliding with her desire for a family and a normal life. When she became pregnant with her first daughter in 2007, the balance snapped. She chose motherhood over momentum. What followed was a complete withdrawal from Hollywood. Nicole moved away from Los Angeles, raised 2 children, and lived quietly, without premieres, publicity, or scandal. The sudden shift surprised many who remembered her bright career, but for Nicole, the silence was liberating. Years later, she cautiously returned for small guest roles: 911, The Rookie, Feds, The Sterling Affairs. Yet she never chased stardom again. In 2025, at 48 years old, Nicole lives a peaceful, private life far from the industry she once belonged to. She occasionally accepts selective acting jobs, but remains focused on raising her children and maintaining a quiet existence. Financially, her net worth was estimated $1 million. Jonathan Chase as Cash Baines. Jonathan Chase was born on October 26, 1979, in Plantation, Florida. At 26 years old, he portrayed Cash Baines, the smooth-talking, overly confident new addition in One-on-One in 2005. His timing, charm, and grounded humor made him a memorable late-series standout, even as the sitcom shifted into its college-era storyline. But behind the camera, Jonathan lived a life far calmer than most of his peers. While his colleagues battled scrutiny, breakups, and industry chaos, he built something rare in Hollywood: stability. He married Sarah Greenfield, protected his private life fiercely, and kept his emotional world away from tabloid noise. Acting was still his passion. He moved fluidly from gamer to monk and later American woman, never allowing the pressure to swallow him or fracture his marriage. As years passed, the industry's demands grew heavier, and Jonathan learned to balance work with fatherhood. He took roles that fit his life, not roles that consumed it. Some years he worked non-stop: Henry Danger, Love Thy Neighbor, Shake It Up, while others he stepped back to raise his child and protect his peace. In 2025, Jonathan is 46 years old, still acting steadily, still married, and still raising his child far from chaos. His estimated net worth of around $1.5 million reflects a career built on consistency rather than fame. Camille Mana as Lisa Sanchez. Camille Mana was born on September 1, 1983, in Orange County, California. At 21 years old, she appeared in the final 2005 to 2006 season of One-on-One as Lisa Sanchez, the quick-witted, hyper-driven overachiever whose sharp energy lifted the show's last chapter. It was her first major sitcom role, and she delivered it with the kind of comedic precision fans still remember. Yet while her character often stumbled through chaos, Camille did everything to avoid it in real life. But the industry's instability followed her anyway. Years of running between auditions, inconsistent paychecks, and the pressure to stay relevant while also protecting her mental health. She moved between Los Angeles and Brooklyn, juggling indie films like Cake and Smart People with stage work and short film production. Each step was driven by the quiet anxiety that Hollywood forgets women quickly, especially women of color. As roles shifted behind the scenes, Camille pivoted, producing short films, writing, and carving out a creative space she controlled. Her performances in The Equalizer, New Amsterdam, and Netflix's SEAL Team reminded audiences that she would never be boxed into a single lane. But even with success, she carried the stress of balancing art and survival, the fear of fading, of being replaced, of never getting the breakthrough role she deserved. She kept going, not because Hollywood embraced her, but because quitting would have hurt more than fighting. In 2025, Camille is 41 years old and still working, acting, producing, and shaping her own projects with the quiet resilience she's always had. Living between Los Angeles and Brooklyn, she continues choosing roles that fulfill her, not ones that drain her. Her estimated net worth of about $1 million reflects a career built with persistence, creativity, and an unwavering refusal to disappear. Omar Gooding as Malik Omar Gooding was born on October 19, 1976, in Los Angeles, California. At 25 years old, he joined One-on-One as Malik, the laid-back barber whose comedic timing became one of the highlights of the show's later seasons. Though his role was brief, he carried the same natural charisma he'd shown since Smart Guy and Baby Boy, giving the sitcom an edge of streetwise humor. But behind the laughs, Omar's personal life was shaped by shadows he rarely spoke about publicly. Being the younger brother of Cuba Gooding Jr. brought pressure, comparison, and the constant feeling of running behind someone else's legacy. Fame came early, money came fast, and addiction followed just as quickly. He slid into heavy partying, financial mistakes, and emotional instability that nearly ended both his career and his sanity. His marriages cracked under the weight of it all, and his relationships fractured as he tried balancing work on Playmakers and Barbershop with the chaos happening off-camera. The crash came hard: debt, a brush with bankruptcy, and the terrifying realization that he could lose everything, including his son, the one anchor he loved more than his own career. Recovery wasn't glamorous. It was slow, painful, filled with relapses and long nights when he questioned whether he deserved another chance. But piece by piece, he rebuilt himself through work. First family time, then touring, then music, and through the quiet support of those who refused to give up on him. In 2025, Omar is 49 years old, clean, stable, and working again, still acting, still performing, still raising his children with a maturity he fought hard to earn. His net worth of about was estimated at $1.5 million. So now that you've seen what became of the cast, which transformation shocked you the most? Tell us in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more untold Hollywood stories.